Hi everyone, it's Hidej. So here we are. This video follows the previous one. So look at this, where the king is. It's on the throne. Can you believe that? Yeah, it is the naked king problem with the king on the throne. And this is actually a lot more incredible than the last one, the one that Kanju Ito made. You know, making naked king problems has been a very great theme among shogi-made problem composers. I believe a lot of them tried to make one. I think there were some good ones, but this, the king on the throne, well, I believe many composers tried and it was unsuccessful. But this problem, it was actually composed by a modern composer. It was published in 2004, just 6 years ago, by a composer, Takao Okamura. And well, it is unbelievable that there is a mate in 59 from here. And interestingly enough, this is the longest record in naked king problems. So this problem broke many records. And yeah, this problem actually has a title of you can see on the screen. If I were to translate, maybe Astonishing Wilderness or Astonishing Wasteland. So obviously the king, the board with only the king is like a wasteland. You know, like after the war, nobody's there. It's just a wasteland. But we're gonna see very incredible things happen in this wasteland. So that's why it's called Astonishing Wasteland. So let's see the sequence, okay? Now, so the first move is actually bishop drop on 3c. Oh, by the way, of course, this problem is symmetric in respect to this center line. So, yeah. Bishop to 7c is another solution, but that's not important. Now let's say bishop to 3c. So except for 7c, this is the only solution that is possible. So this mate problem is impeccable. There's only one solution. It can't be 2D or 1E. Well, there's a reason for that. I'm going to talk about later. And what white can do here is, well, the king can run, or he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kinds of pieces. He doesn't have a gold, and actually the only piece he can do to maximize the move is bishop drop on 4b. And black's only option to mate this king is bishop takes 4b, king recaptures. So with this 4 move, it's just the bishop exchange is made, and the pieces on the stand don't change. Bishop 4 golds, 2 silvers, and 9 pawns. Well, 9 pawns is interesting. It's the number of pawns you have in the initial position in the real game. Anyway, so the king has moved to 4b. Well, these 4 moves actually have a very interesting background story, very deep behind theory in these 4 moves. So I'm going to talk about that later. So let's just keep going ahead with this problem. And I can't explain all the variations here. Well, as I did in the previous one, I talk about most of the variations. But this one, no way. I mean, if I were to explain all the variations, it will take hours. I mean, even days to explain all of them. So I go along the main line. Okay, so from this position, what is the next move? Well, interestingly enough, it's bishop drop again to 6d, and it has to be here, not on 7e, not on 8f, or not on 9g. It has to be 6d. Well, it's the reasons that is similar to the previous one I'm going to talk about later. And you know, again, bishop drop to 5c is the only option for white to maximize the number of the moves. Unbelievable. Well, the reason of this bishop drop on 6d first of all is you know, he want to use this diagonal to mate the king. So what he does later is he's gonna indice the king over to this diagonal, you know, dropping piece to sacrifice, and drawing the king closer to this diagonal, and then drop something here. So that's a basic idea. So you know, if the bishop was too far away, this diagonal would be far away from the king, and then that will lead to a mate. So the bishop has to be here. And the reason why white can only drop a bishop is, again, this bishop's defense. You know, the king will have to go to this area later on. So this is a very good defense with the bishop. So that's why 2 bishop drops are necessary. And it's the same reason for that bishop drops on 3c and 4b actually. So now here the next move is pawn drop to 4c. Okay, now if the king takes it, it is said that with another general sack on 5d, it is mate. I mean, if he takes it, maybe you can drop a general to 5e. Well, a silver, gold, I don't know which is better, but yeah, it seems it's gonna be a mate anyway. So the king runs and proceed like silver sack and gold drop like that, and it's gonna be a mate. But what is interesting is all the generals will be used in this variation, all of them. So yeah, that's why it has to be a pawn. If you generously drops the general to move the king over to 4c, you don't have enough generals actually. So very well designed problem. You have to drop a pawn and the king can't take it. So where should the king run to? Well, actually the answer is 3b. Well, I don't know the reason precisely, but you know, this is impossible that the bishop check will come over. Well, this one, I don't know. He doesn't want to go too near to the bishop's diagonal anyway, or maybe you can drop a silver anyway. So the king has to go to 3b. That's the solution. I mean, he doesn't want to go to the left side of the board. He wants to get away from the bishop. And what comes here is pawn drop, another pawn drop here, and the king doesn't want to take it. Well, this time, yeah, he doesn't want to go here. I think it will be a simple mate with a silver drop, you know, covering this square. So the best he can do is, again, going sideways. And another pawn drop in 2c, doesn't want to take it, and another pawn drop. Very interesting. Now finally the king has to take the pawn. If he takes this one, it is said that it's an earlier mate, like this kind of line. You know, well, it's actually pretty similar to what we're gonna see in later line, but yeah, it's gonna be an earlier mate anyway. Well, it is said that gold sack, and you can take the bishop, and after that is a earlier mate. So actually, from here, after pawn drop on 1c, the king takes the pawn on 2c. That's the longer line. But here comes another pawn drop. White takes it. Pawn drop on 2e. White takes it. Well, he's taking the pawn, but he's leaving these 3 pawns behind, so that black cannot drop a pawn to these files. It will be 2 pawns. Okay, now here comes a very interesting silver sack on 3f. King takes, and finally, the king has come to the bishop diagonal. So gold drop on 3g, finally making a great foothold. So now the king will go away to 2e. Okay, pawn drop on 2f. Well, bishop doesn't want to take it, so actually he runs. Okay, now what? Well, you shouldn't drop your general to 2e yet. I think it will allow the king to go over to the left side of the board. So you have to use a tactic here. Well, this may probably really cool. Another silver sack on 4e. King takes, and the gold moves over to 4f, advances, and king goes back to 3d again. Amazing. Okay, now what? Yeah, gold drop on 4e. Well, this is a natural move, and king runs to 2d, not 2c. He doesn't want to go back. He doesn't want to take the pawn, as I've said. Well, he's trying to maintain the possibility of getting away behind the pawn. That's his idea. So, what are you going to do here? You have to find a very, very cool tactic. Okay, it's this great move. gold to 3e upward. Unbelievable. Well, actually now finally the bishop has to take it. Yeah. Well, what if the king runs? Well, actually it's alright. Gold check, king runs, but you have 2 gold, so check. Let's say king can go to 2g, but gold on the head. King goes back and go to 4f. A beautiful checkmate. So yeah, the king cannot run here to 1e, so bishop has to now take the golden 3. So now, what is this gold sack for? You know why? Well, you're not gonna take this bishop now. After this gold sack, you drop the gold on 2e simply with gold on the head. So king has to get away from 3d square. He doesn't want this check, so he runs to 1c, taking the pawn. Now, okay, the question: why not just simply drop a gold like that? Well, you're gonna see the reason. You have to sack the gold and then you drop the gold. King runs. Well, the reason is the next check. Yeah, it's bishop promotion 3a. Yeah, the bishop was blocking the bishop, so now that the bishop is here, you can make that horse check. Beautiful. Okay, now what is the best interposing piece for white? Well, actually it is pawn drop on 2b, a pawn block. Oh, you're gonna see the reason later. Okay, now pawn drop on 1d. King has to go to 1b. Gold drop on 1c. Bishop has to take it. So actually the bishop, you don't take the bishop on 3. The bishop is actually taking the gold in here, and you can now take the bishop. King runs, and another pawn drop in 1d. Doesn't want to go to 2c, so 1b. Okay, now here's the reason for that pawn drop on 2b. If the pawn block was other pieces such as lance block or knight block, well, rook, gold, and silver are too dangerous. So let's say lance or knight. Well, in that case, you can drop bishop here. Well, imagine that this pawn is a lance or knight. King runs, and you take the piece and promote here. And look at this, it's a pawn, so you can't drop the pawn here because it's a 2 pawns and also pawn drop mate, so double illegal move. So you can't drop a pawn. But if it was a lance, you can drop on 1b. If it was a knight, you can drop on 2c. It's a checkmate. So that's the reason why white made a pawn block. So this bishop drop on 2a is not going to work here. So now once again you have to find a very, very good tactic here. Can you find that? Maybe you should pause the video here and find that move. Alright, the answer is here. Bishop sacrifice on 2c. Very cool. White can't take it with a pawn because the pawn promotion is checkmate. What about the king takes it? Well, the gold will come over. King runs. Now what? Pawn sack. And the gold, another gold will come over. King runs. You sack it, opening the horse's diagonal, and gold advances in a checkmate. Great, so the bishop drop on 2c is very cool. You can't take it. So actually the line goes with king to 1a. Okay, now what? Well, there's only one thing you can do. Horse takes the pawn on 2b. Now taking that pawn and well, don't promote the bishop yet. You sack the pawn, has to take it. Gold comes over, and then you make the bishop promotion. King runs, and look at your piece. Then you have a pawn. Pawn drop on 1b. King takes, gold goes over. King runs, and gold to 2b. Checkmate. Made in 59, and that's very great. It's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable that this is an impeccable problem. There's no alternative solution or anything like that. And the composer just checked all the variations by himself. Well, incredible. There are so many variations in this problem. And well, as I've said, let me talk about the background story of the first 4 moves. This one. Well, the thing is, actually the fact is, this mate problem is a revised version of his first composition, which was published in 2003. Well, what I mean is, actually, when this problem was first published, the king wasn't on 5a. Actually, the king was on 4b. And the pieces on the piece stand were the same. And this was his first composition. The naked king problem with the king on 4b, yeah, it wasn't on 5a. But actually, this problem was a totally great achievement at that time, because 59 minus 4, that's mating 55. That was the longest record of naked king problem, and actually, 2 moves later, it's another feature that is called 2-bishop diagram. And that's a feature of a mate problem, 2-bishop diagram mate problems, and it has the longest move record from here. That's -2, so 53, mating 53. So it made many new records, and it was named with Astonishing Wilderness. So yeah, this problem itself was great, but then another idea came up. The idea that he can actually extended this problem, adding 4 moves and moving the king over to 5a. So you know what I mean. This 4 move is made, but this was the first problem, and he added this 4 moves to that and made this one, extending the record by 4 moves, achieving this impeccable naked throne king problem, and while also extending the record for the 2-bishop diagram by 4 moves too. Well, actually, the composer says that when he published this version 4b, he was actually aware of the idea that he might be able to add 4 moves and move the king over to 5a, but the fact is he couldn't be so sure. Although it's just 4 moves, it's very much difficult to be sure that there is only one line of bishop exchange. You see what I mean? From here, he has to make sure, check that there's only this bishop drop possible, and there's only this bishop block possible, and there's only this bishop promotion is possible to mate the king, and he couldn't make that sure. Especially what he had difficulties in was the mating line after interposing other pieces than the bishop, such as pawn, lance, knight, silver, whatever. He couldn't find a mate from this position. That's why he couldn't publish with king on 5a. But after the first publishment, he found out that there's a mate from this position. Yeah, and actually that was a silver drop on 6b, which I'm not sure how the line is, but yeah, but it is said that the lines are similar to what we've seen on the right side of the board. It goes like that, maybe. So he's concluded that there's only this bishop drop, covering these diagonals. This is the only move that is possible. Pawn drop doesn't work. Only the bishop drop. And why can only drop the bishop? Well, the reason is it's the defense of the bishop. For example, in this line, let's say you can promote this bishop, and it wasn't for this bishop, it will be a simple mate, right? So has to be the bishop interposition, and he also made sure that there's no mate other than taking the bishop here. Pawn drop, silver drop, anything else won't work, so he has to take it, and king recaptures. And to check only these 4 moves took him months. Alright, took him months to make sure that there's only these 4 moves, only this line. So, his achievement even exceeds human power. I feel like it's a message from Shogi God. Well, can you believe that there's only this bishop exchange is possible after moving the king 4b to 5a? You feel like it was meant to be. I can't help thinking that Shogi God deliberately designed shogi rule to make this problem possible. So I was really astonished with this problem. And I didn't know about this problem until several days ago, so that's why I created this video. Now, and as I said, the variations in this whole problem is so complicated, and I can't explain those. But if you want to see them, well, I don't recommend seeing them. But if you want to see them, you can actually here go to this website, and yeah, you can see a commentary by the composer himself. And if you go down scrolling, here's all the variations he has checked. And can you see these? Well, unbelievable. It goes all the way down to here. Yeah. All I can say is, this is totally unbelievable. A work of God. So, well, great. That's all I can say. So, hope this video has been useful. Yeah, thanks very much for watching this. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.